Coming up on Cultural Capital, we head into rehearsals for the first West End revival of My Fair Lady in 21 years. We're meeting a woman once described as sex appeal on strings in Thing of the Week, and I'm reviewing Benediction, Terence Davies' slightly strange new biopic of the poet Siegfried Sasson. This week saw the opening of a new production of Lerner and Loewe's much-loved musical My Fair Lady at the Coliseum in a transfer from the Lincoln Center in New York. But in the 21 years since the show was last seen here, people have started to notice it's a bit icky. We talked to the young British cast to find out how they're bringing it up to date.
All I want is a room somewhere.
To be doing this iconic show in such a beautiful space, meters from where a lot of it is set, feels very current and relevant.
It's especially beautiful to be at the Coliseum, which was an old variety house in its origins. So it kind of feels like it suits kind of spirit of the play from the time it was written. The musical, based on the play, has its own weird kind of received traditions. One of them is of the older man and the younger woman and this sort of battle between them. And I don't think that's really in the script. So I wanted to be able to get something where we're on the same level and where they were both finding their way into the world from different classes, from different points of view, and how they had to bridge this gap. We didn't go to reimagine it. We went to kind of look back at what the original material was saying to us and see how we could look at it now in the 21st century.
The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain.
With every sort of new wave of challenge and questions towards society, we find something new every time. And even in just the last 4 years, with there being a pandemic, with the rise of the Me Too movement, we find new questions and we go back to those old questions that we asked right from the beginning. Why is it like this? Why do we do this? How do we fill this gap that's separating us? You will discover those things just through the lens of existing in this world today.
And that's the joy of this show. You know, it has these numbers that people will sing along to and enjoy, but at the end of the night, they will be asking themselves questions. They'll be challenged by it as well. And for it to be still that relevant and interesting this many years on is a credit to Shaw. It's incredible.
Frank Mumford was a skilled puppeteer and maker of marionettes who played his first puppet show in Wood Green aged 24 in 1940 and his last in 2004 aged 86. One of his most celebrated characters was Mademoiselle Zizi, a cabaret chanteuse based on Lana Turner and Gypsy Rose Lee, and she's our Thing of the Week.
The master puppeteer Frank Mumford made and performed with his puppets for 70 years. He started at the Wood Green Empire aged 14, billed as Master Mumford and his marionettes. Mademoiselle Zizi was his most famous creation, based on Lana Turner and Gypsy Rose Lee. Professor Theodore was her accompanist. Her life began in 1947 when she was created to entertain audiences in some of Europe's most sophisticated nightclubs and theatres. Mademoiselle Zizi was the most famous of the many superbly crafted marionettes created by Frank Mumford and used by him and his wife Maisie and their company, the Mumford Puppets. She was once described in a newspaper as sex appeal on strings, and after one show in Juan-le-Pin, she was named Miss Venus of the Côte d'Azur. Mademoiselle Zizi performed for many famous faces, including Laurel and Hardy, the Duke and Duchess of Windsor, and Prince Rainier and Grace Kelly of Monaco. She was once considered so scandalous that she was banned from the Birmingham Hippodrome for kissing too many men in the audience, being censured by the Birmingham Watch Committee in the 1950s. Since Jerry Anderson visited Frank and saw Mademoiselle Zizi in the 1960s when he was thinking of creating the television series Thunderbirds, the similarity between Miss Penelope and Zizi may not be purely coincidental.
Now it's the 60-second film review. I really wanted to love Terence Davies' biopic of the First World War poet Siegfried Sasson, a talented writer and gay man who counted some of the era's brightest young things among his friends and lovers. If you know Davies' work, you'll know what to expect in terms of pacing and focus, but here he depicts Sasson's relationships in a way that makes the poet look a bit needy and even a bit petty. Plus, he doesn't seem to do a lot of writing. Jack Lowden as Sassoon is as brilliant as ever, but the script doesn't give anyone much to work with, and in the case of Jeremy Irvin's Ivor Novello, ends up making him look so unremittingly unpleasant that you long for him to evaporate in a puff of pomade. I can absolutely understand why Davies wanted to illustrate the early sections with original footage from the First World War. It's a stark reminder that these were real lives lost. It was real trauma that inspired some of Sassoon's best work. But it does lend the first 20 minutes or so the air of a slightly cheap TV documentary. There are some great moments. The interaction between Sassoon and his fellow poet Wilfred Owen is beautiful, and the moment he waves Owen off to return to the front is a masterclass in silent devastation. Likewise, the scene in which Sassoon is overwhelmed with anguish at the sight of a damaged young soldier. It's a protracted and deeply unsettling moment. I just wish the rest of the film was quite as good. Thanks for watching Cultural Capital. For more great things to see and do in London, follow me and the Evening Standard on TikTok and ES Culture on Instagram. Have a great weekend.